Hey, I really do need you to see something. 1 second.
What's a heretic?
A heretic is a doctrinal term that is given to someone who is teaching doctrine or a belief system that is contrary to the Word of God in the name of God.
What's so ironic about this is that Hagee Jr. here is not internalizing the fact that he and his father are very much so the heretics that he so defines in his video. One of the things that people who haven't been paying attention to American Christianity and why it's so corrupt is in part because of the Hagees. You need to go look, because the post-mortem on them both, along with the same thing I said about Pat Robertson, post-mortem on them is going to be epic. And depending on whether or not we get launched because of Zionism into World War III, and we millions of Americans, not millions, let us hope not that, but Americans are unalived due to Zionism and unnecessary wars, the bigotry of our times. People are going to start digging into the Hagees. Hagee Sr. was very much so an anti-S. I can't say it on this app, but he wasn't very friendly to the Jewish community. Speaking very openly about his anti-them views, and embracing the head, Mr. H himself, of the Yahtzees. On this app, you can't really talk candidly about the subject because you just get flagged. But what I want to say is this, is that if you want to understand one of the causes of Christian Zionism here in America, you need to look into the Hagees. You need to see what the Hagees are doing to this day to propound and to promote. Because if you can see the pivot of Hagee Sr. from being anti or making very overt statements about being anti our Jewish brothers and sisters, and then pivoting to being a Zionist, you kind of want to ask, how much money did it take? Because that's where I've begun to arrive at. Because you can even see other televangelists. There's a very, very notable one who, and this is running long, so I won't get into it, who also was in the White House making anti statements of our Jewish brothers and sisters. And you'll see him pivot. And you gotta ask yourself, because there's a TikToker that I made a little snippet, a little small video off of, Waleed, saying, hey, the fact that Christian Americans are Zionist, it's not unplanned. That pivot from where they were to where they are now, it was not by accident. And the Hagees are at the heart of it. They are not the only and sole cause and contributor of the situation, but they are one of them. And so if you're going to want to understand why American Christians have been indoctrinated and thus are now blindly Christian Zionists, despite the fact that their religion is technically whatever, I won't say the word. So many accounts are being banana these days. If you want to know why, they're part of the reason. And so if you want a clearer understanding of how to talk to your Christian family members who are very much so Zionist, you need to go look at how much Hagee they took in, how much of those guys that they took in. And then I think and I think it's because we still haven't reached the point to where the press can freely write about it, but we need to follow the money and how and why they started to make this shift toward being good Zionist and directing their congregations towards being Zionist, because it's weird for someone to make that kind of a shift, but not really if there's money involved. Because when you're looking at a televangelist, you're looking at someone who is motivated by capitalism and motivated by money, because it takes money to get your message out. And so a lot of them created the excuse for propounding their bigotry, across the telewaves. They based it upon the fact that Jesus's word needed to get out, not just their interpretation of what they think God is and who they think Christ was and how they feel about it. But that's a whole other video because this one's going long. But pay attention. Pay attention because the Hagis still propounding Zionism to this day. That doesn't come out of nowhere. It wasn't just this magical thing that happened because American Christians were not always Zionist. And it wasn't by fad. Some of it was by fad. Like it just became a thing to appropriate Jewish culture and Jewish artifacts, Jewish styles of prayer, Jewish going to the Wailing Wall, all that stuff. It became appropriated as a part of trend over time. But Zionism? Anyway, y'all go take a look. If y'all got questions, put them in the comments. Because this is an onion that needs to be peeled. Because if we're going to save as many Palestinians as we can, if we're going to save the soul of America, we're going to have to burn the Zionism out of it. Because you can fully support our Jewish brothers and sisters all day. I do. I think Jews should be able to practice their religion, culture, etc. freely, as long as it's not hurting anybody. I say the same thing about Christianity. Hey, Christians should be able to freely practice their religion and be non-harmed. I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I am, hey, as long as you're not forcing others to believe what you believe and forcing others to live how you believe people should live, go practice your belief system. That's fine. As long as if it makes you feel peace, cool. Zone out all day and get etherized by as much praise and worship music as you want. It's fine. It's a drug. Fine. But it's the one that Christians feel comfortable with. That's another video. But I think it's important that those of us who are trying to save the soul of America, who are trying to save Palestinians, save the soul of America, and to prevent the world from going into an unnecessary world war because the worm-eaten minds of 80-year-olds who want to control our nation, 70 and 80-year-olds who think that they got it right. Because the world is in such a good position because of their bigotry, narcissism, their toxic capitalism, all this horrible things that we are seeing right now, putting a wrecking ball to progress for so many generations. They think that's good and they want to be conservative about removing any of the things that they've put in place because they made such good decisions for us. So if you're wanting to unwind all of that, Hagis are a good place to start. It is connected. I'm not making although what I'm saying is opinion. It's not unfounded. It's actually well documented. Anyway, happy hunting.